Welcome back, everyone. The weather, it's definitely changing these days, and that means we have some chores that we want to do out in our yards.
I know. Are you guys ready? Before the leaf raking, there are some other things you can do as well. Michael Karen from Utah State University Extension is here with us to give us some timely tips. Hey, Michael.
Hello. Good morning.
It is mum season. I've been seeing mums
It is mum season. They're everywhere.
They're beautiful. You know, I always had a problem with them lasting, though.
You know, if you plant them outside, these are all hardy mums. So they can go outside and
you mean now?
Yeah, you can plant them out in the yard.
Okay.
Yeah, or wait till you're done enjoying them indoors, and then plant them in the yard, and they'll usually come back for years.
Really?
Yeah.
Year after year, just cut them down?
Yep.
Before winter?
I just cut them down in the winter when all the tops die down and the roots all stay alive, and then you'll get another big bush next year, and they'll actually get quite a bit larger.
Oh wow. All right, they come back and multiply, and they're such pretty fall colors as well.
Yeah, they're kind of the herald of fall.
Okay.
Right, and then we've been playing a game up here called Guess This Bulb.
Guess the bulb.
So you brought some in,
Yes.
and now is the time to plant
Now
these
is
bulbs?
the time to plant these bulbs. So
Okay.
the bulbs that you see in the stores now are what we call fall bulbs, but really they flower in the spring.
Okay.
And these are the hardy bulbs. They actually need to have cold weather in order to produce flowers next year.
Okay.
Yeah, that cold
so now's
weather
the
actually
ideal
triggers
time,
that.
right before it gets too cold.
Exactly. We want to do it before it gets too cold, and they'll actually develop roots this fall. And then next spring, they'll give us that pretty flower show.
All right, so give us an idea of some of the bulbs then that ought to go in the ground.
Yeah, some pretty common ones that a lot of people like to plant. Here we have the daffodils here, and those are kind of the first flower, the yellow ones that typically look like trumpets.
Okay,
Then we have tulips, and of course, you know, we have Tulip Festival coming up at Thanksgiving Point in April. And so that's what these are from, is a little tidbit of what's going in.
Planting.
Yeah, part of the about 500,000 flower bulbs that we'll have on display down there.
Oh my gosh.
So then we have, of course, the hyacinth here, which is the very fragrant one. And then on the very end are what we call ornamental onions or alliums. And these ones are actually the big ones. They call them the drumstick alliums. They get the big flower heads on them.
Oh,
look like
right.
the big like playing the timpani drums.
Can I ask a question? How do you, when you're placing these in the ground, are you putting them in clusters or depending on how you want your...
So it depends on how many you have. If you have a lot, say hundreds, then you can kind of space them out, usually about 3 or 4 inches apart, and kind of make a whole drift of them. If you don't have that many bulbs, because they can be kind of costly, then I recommend planting them in clumps of odd numbers, anywhere from 9 to about 15, and then just place the clumps in strategic places throughout the garden.
Aesthetically, they look better when they bloom in bunches rather than having one solo flower here, another over there.
Yep. So if you only have a few, clump them together in strategic places, and they'll be a nice show.
Michael, this time of year when we're planting these, how far down do you want to put them into the soil?
So usually about 6 inches.
Okay.
Yeah, it varies a little bit depending on the bulb. There are some smaller types of plants out there like crocus, which are smaller bulbs. Those may be 3 or 4 inches. So the bigger the bulb, usually the deeper they get planted.
I've seen where people take paper whites, the little bulbs, and they grow them indoors, and they're beautiful. Can you do that with any of these?
Yeah, you can do that with all of these, actually. It's called forcing. And normally, in order to get them to flower, bulbs that are used for forcing are actually stored in the fridge for maybe up to 10 weeks. And then that will actually trigger that flower development that I was talking about earlier.
That's incredible. And then just put them in a plate with water? Or,
exactly. You have a little shallow dish or something like that.
And you could have tulips in winter, huh?
You can, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm doing that.
Tricking the bulb. That's cool. That would be fun to see if it actually works.
And what about these?
So, of course, now is also a good time to plant some of these fall blooming hardy perennials. So pansies, which most of us think of as an annual, really are more perennial. And contrary to what their name says, they're not tender. They're actually quite hardy. We might even call them a hardy annual.
So they can handle these
overnight. They can handle it, yeah. So right now, if you put these into the garden in the fall, a lot of times they'll overwinter just fine, and then they'll be one of the first things to grow, and you'll see flowers on them real early, sometimes even before the snow is completely gone.
The pansies are no pansies?
They're no pansies.
No, they're not. I made the mistake before of actually pulling them out of the ground when I was cleaning up some annual flowers in seasons past. I didn't know that they would come back.
Yeah, they'll usually come back. They don't like the heat of the summer, so a lot of times they won't do well then, but they'll make it usually through the winter just fine.
Good ideas. Good tips.
So.
Michael,
it's also a great time for planting trees and shrubs. We're going to have all this moisture coming in. It's beautiful weather. They're not that stressed out. They'll actually root out a little bit this fall and have a good head start on the spring.
So we thought yard work was done. No. Picking up once again in the fall. Michael Karen from University. University. Thanks so much.